BTW, FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an gestural implant, 68 milligrams radiopaque. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Everybody scream or don't. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Cory.
And today we are discussing the latest album from Florence and the Machine, Everybody Scream. It came out on Halloween, and what a perfect album for spooky season, and a perfect title for that matter. Everybody Scream for on Halloween, new Florence and the Machine album. Can't ask for better than that, if you ask me.
I agree. The only tiny downfall is that it makes me think about the Nightmare Before Christmas lyric, everybody scream, everybody scream. But that was perfect for the Halloween vibe that was going down when this album dropped. This was our trick-or-treating music for my wife and I, or at least in the car, back and forth.
I love that. That's perfect for
it. Felt perfect. There's definitely tones that fit Halloween throughout this album.
Yes. This is actually, Florence Welch is calling this their most personal album yet. Unlike some other people, Britney Spears, this actually is a very personal album. It's not just marketing. Because in between on the tour for the band's last album, Dance Fever, Florence Welch went through to put it mildly, a life-changing event.
Yeah, learning new stuff every day on this one, but that's wild, man. That is wild to make an album on that. Well, I'm not going to spoiler alert here. I will talk about it later, but that viewpoint of this album changes a lot of stuff. And then very shittily, I'll self-proclaimed shittily right here. It makes me think like, wow, like there were some serious accolades for this album. Without a spoiler alert here. But yeah, man, that's wild. That is wild. That's some mind-blowing shit right there.
Yes, so a couple of years ago while she was on tour, she suffered from a miscarriage while performing, and it ended up being an ectopic pregnancy, and this resulted in a ruptured fallopian tube, and this required emergency surgery. So she did have to cancel a couple of shows. I'm surprised she didn't cancel the rest of the tour, but she only canceled a couple of shows. And at the time didn't say why, but now we do know why. And this experience prompted her to write because she said, quote, "The closest I came to making life was the closest I came to death," unquote. And that's frightening. I mean, an event like that, and to have it happen while you were doing a performance, definitely would make an artist evaluate their life. Look inward.
It's a powerful fucking quote right there. Powerful quote. That's wild, man.
Yeah. And this story has been a big part of the press tour for this album, and it really shapes the whole album, which is understandable because it is related to her art. After all, this happened to her on stage.
Jesus Christ. I'm literally reevaluating the album in my brain as we speak now, getting this information in such a detailed sense. I mean, for everybody listening, I'm not getting it in a detailed sense from Charlie at this exact moment, but we always shoot the proverbial before, or most of the time before the podcast. And as we were about to set it off, this came on, or this topic arose, and holy moly.
Yes, but because it's Florence Welch we're talking about, we are going to parlay it into some scary imagery, because that's what she does. She talked about how she looked at this title, Everybody Scream, as a release of so many things. It can be celebratory, it can be agonizing, it can be one of many things, and it's the motif for the album. She even said she believed the word scream is in every song on the album, in her interview with Zane Lowe. And she This event caused her to look into themes of witchcraft, folk horror, mysticism, magic, poetry, and insanity. As she described it in the hype for the album on social media, as we could say.
I'm so blown away by this. Do you think, because, man, I've been living in this week of like, this is a borderline Halloween album for me, and now it takes a total 180 here. Wow. Even to the point where I just had a thought of, was the drop on All Hallows Eve for the soul? I mean, I'm getting pretty deep here. I apologize if it's too deep, but like for the lost soul of her child. Fucking A, man. Excuse my language, but Jesus Christ. Mind blown. Mind blown.
Hey,
Wow.
the album has an explicit label on it, and so does this episode, so it's okay.
Heard that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow, man.
But it's both. That makes me, it's like you weren't too familiar with that going in. You just looked at it without that background.
Yeah.
And, well, we'll get into it each song, but...
And, and I'm not too proud to say it. I'll give a little bit of how the sausage is made here and maybe my shortcomings as a human being sometimes. But this topic arose because I said to Charlie, like, wow, what a sultry, literally, that was the quote, what a sultry cover here. And he was like, yeah, I don't think so. And I was like, what are you talking about? Wow, man. Wow. Mind blown.
The way I interpret the cover is the legs, it's a fisheye lens, and she is sitting with her legs spread, and I'm thinking that's related more to giving birth than anything sultry.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it now, of course, my terrible brain, goes there automatically, but you look at it, I won't say obviously, but like the white sheets, the way it's positioned, whoo, heaviness, man, heaviness. I don't know. I can't look at it. I'm taking it off my screen right now, actually. Holy moly, man. Just out of pure guilt there, mostly.
Right.
Not out of the lack of empathy there. Holy moly. That's wild, dude.
As empathetic as we can be to her, because...
Heard.
Yikes.
Woof.
Not many people can say they've been in this exact situation.
Agreed. It's something, that I would imagine that would be insane to carry. Of course, everybody's screaming. There's so many more levels to this now, but what a great way to look at the scream there. Huh, man. And I'm jamming on a Halloween album this week. Meanwhile, it's
also a Halloween album.
There's an existential undertone that I totally whiffed on. Jeez, whiz.
Yeah. But she wanted it to be a Halloween album, too. I believe that drop date was intentional, and just from the titles, some of these titles, you can tell what we're going for here.
Yeah. No, I agree. So much. I guess I was going to say, I hope that I'm the only one that didn't know that, but I hope that if you didn't, we're enlightening you here with that information, because it is, it's neat. I won't say it's crucial, I've said it wasn't crucial for me, but now it definitely gives so much more context to this introspective album.
Yes, and this album was primarily produced by Mark Bowen of the band Idols and Aaron Dessner. It started off with Mark Bowen, but then Florence wanted to finish it up, and for that, she called Aaron Dessner, and she said it was a change. In one of her interviews, she said, post-pandemic, it was the first time I'd actually gone physically back somewhere to finish the album, because the last album was done in the midst of the pandemic. And she very specifically said this album only could have been made now, at this point in her life. Like, the timing of it's all very intentional.
Wild. Our friend Aaron Dessner, if I say one thing, And I've said some not positive things about him, but I mean, between him and Bowen, the amount of legwork that they carry musically throughout both of these albums is insane. The multi-track, multi-instrument run here, it's pretty mind-blowing when you look at it on paper like that and you think, wow, man, they were in it to win it. So, and not that I take back anything on some negative things that I had to say about Dessner and his run, but like in certain runs, he's got the legwork on this one, or a lot of it.
Well, I do want to say, I think this could be the case for quite a few people. If you're primarily familiar with Aaron Dessner because of his work with Taylor Swift, this is not that at all.
Heard.
Even though she did a song with Florence and the Machine, do not come in here expecting that. That's all I will say. We'll explain why as we get into it, which I'm ready to do. I'm really excited to talk about this album. This was a very pleasant fall treat.
Yeah, agreed. And before we get started, one quick slap to my face again. I consider myself a Florence fan, not a super fan, but this is their 6th album, and I had to go back and be like, wait a minute, what? I thought 3rd, but wow, 6th album.
I mean, this made me want to go back and listen to some Florence that I missed too.
Yeah, man. Let's get at it then.
Yeah, I'm ready. I am ready. So the album begins with the title track, Everybody Scream, and I mean, it pretty explicitly, if you know the backstory, pretty explicitly references that backstory of her having a miscarriage on stage. This song was co-written by Mark Bowen and Mitski, and just this song is so well produced. Like, these screams in the background are just perfectly placed, and of course you get Florence and her wonderful, as always, vocals. She's sounding great on this album. Just listen to it yourself. It's a pretty brilliant opener and title track. It serves a double purpose, and it does it well.
Yeah. It does it amazingly. As we've already talked about, like, a lot of this is me coming off a Halloween album, so excuse me if I miss a lot of the existential stuff here, but like right off the gate, we got an opener with a pipe organ sound, a Phantom of the Opera-esque intro into the feeling of this album, and we get I'm right with you, such a well-produced, crafted track here to open this up. There's no mistaking the intent of this album from this song, in my opinion. And I will have to say, hot tea take, I had a love-hate relationship with some of the screams early on listening to this, but they really, even the ones that are out of place, are so intricately put out of place, out of time, to evoke feeling inside of this composition, and I end up loving it. It's what I expect, as crappy as that sounds, what I expect from Florence vocally. It doesn't blow me away, but I'm okay with that as far as it being the opener, because it's super strong and it's super meticulously crafted. A great opener. It's haunting, man, this opener. It's a driving, haunting. It was perfect for the season, I'm telling you. It's definitely a Halloween album for me, period. But yeah, it does its job here. Everybody Scream is a way to open this album.
This is what I could see coming back to every year now on Halloween.
100%.
At least just this song, but, well, good news, we've got more spooky stuff coming up.
Just before we go on the next one, that was the legitimate lead single for this album?
Yes.
Okay, heard that. It is single worthy, but isn't that not commonplace for the title track to be the first single?
Can't recall the last time I saw it, but it makes sense here perfectly.
Definitely does.
But now we've got, well, based on title, not as horror based, but still some eeriness there. We've got One of the Greats, which she said began as a poem that she wrote on the road. She admitted it's a stream of consciousness song, and it's the longest song here, which that's different for an album to have track 2 be the longest song on the album. And that's a risk, honestly. That could take a listener out of the album pretty early on. I think, having the song be over 6.5 minutes. But she did this song in one take. And she said it just might be an outpouring of frustration over the last 15 years of critiques on it. And this song really does smartly comment on double standards in the music industry that Florence and other women have faced being women. I mean, honestly, my favorite lyric of 2025 is probably, "It must be nice to be a man and make boring music just because you can." Because female artists are always expected to reinvent. More so than male artists. Like, there's always all this discourse about, like, well, this isn't anything new, you gotta reinvent. Like, you can't just... And we see it a lot in critiques of the work of women more so than men.
That's a wild, cool thought. I wonder if my critiques end up being like that. That's a wild thought. Not just like trying to take a shot at myself, but just wondering, looking back and being like, I can remember saying stuff like that. Even when we talk about Taylor, even when we talk about like Grande's album that I didn't enjoy, it was like, what is going on here? That's wild. That's wild. That's a neat conversation right there.
It's a point I've seen made several times. Like, I think of a video clip of one time, it was Katy Perry, of all people, backstage saying, like, I could just be Ed Sheeran with his loop pedal.
Woo!
On stage.
Get that boy's name out of your mouth there, Katie. That boy is a musician, all right?
He is, but she kind of has a point because she's going on stage, like, flying in the air and stuff and putting on a whole spectacle.
True, this is true.
But it's because she's held to a different standard.
That's a very cool conversation. I like that.
Yeah, it's not something we always think about, but this song is really based on that. And she admitted, though, it is still tongue-in-cheek. Like, she isn't insulting anybody. She didn't take a name out of her mouth like some other people did. But this is a poetry. It makes sense that this started as a poem. And she has seen some of it. Like, she says, people have really not liked how I've expressed myself on stage, which is stupid because it's Florence and the Machine. It's gotta be over the top. That's my take on it. But there's some real smart social commentary on this song.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not a product, but like I'm a perfect example of your critique right there with a little bit extra. At first, this did take me out a little bit. I would say maybe half of the first listen. By the end of this song, I'm in. But not knowing in the middle of the song, I wasn't sure that it fit. It fits 100% perfectly. This, for me, is a monologue. That is set up to let the rest of the album breathe. It's so freaking heavy, and I really enjoy it because it invokes, or it reminds me of old grunge style poetry where I knew every once in a while I'll actually be correct in what the artist was feeling. You know, I've been known to reach and make up these fantastical ideas of what's going on, but she lays it down for you here. And she lays it down in these words that maybe it was the distorted guitar, or I'll say the distorted guitar added to it behind in the early goings of this song, but it really has this grunge-esque sensibility that I love. So it spoke to me even more, just more so in the way she goes at it. I will say she's tongue-in-cheek until the latter third of this song, and then she's pretty straightforward in what she says, in my opinion, and I like it. It makes me wonder. I thought it was a personal dig at a certain person when she gets to the point where she's like, "You're my second favorite front man." I'm paraphrasing here, but like, you could have had me if you wanted me, but you're scared of me. What, when she goes into that, I was like, whoa, okay, I wonder who she's talking about. But really well done. And the length of the song, at first, I was like, wow, this is taking me a bit out, but it's such a perfect monologue for this album.
Yeah. First couple of listens, I thought, okay, seriously, we're still on track 2?
Heard.
But over more listens I've done, and I've listened a lot over the course of this. Even more so, I've listened to this even more so than some other albums we've covered because I'm just so engrossed in it.
Yeah, I'm with you. This has been very close to, other than like Algorithm DJ when the kids are in the car, very close to 100% of my listens since Halloween to today.
Yeah, because there's just so much going on, and that applies to the next song as well, which is Witch Dance, which she described as being about desire and life and death, and how that's all connected. And this is another eerie one, especially with the background vocals and the bass line. It's atmospheric. Another very haunting song. And she doesn't have to say witch dance in the song to evoke what she's going for here. And the witch, that I also believe that's intentional because, again, we'll see again here, I think that's likely another comment on how women are treated. And she's really thinking about that because she went through an experience that only a woman would go through. So it's caused her to look inward and really think about her life, is the way I'm interpreting this. And how this all intersected for her.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back and pick this apart with my new knowledge, but this song kills without that knowledge. I mean, I love how you said it. She doesn't have to say witch dance inside because you feel it. I mean, there's a ritualistic, in my opinion, a ritualistic rhythm pattern that goes throughout this. Very indicative of just world sound drums, period, but with this just clack of, I'm not sure what it is. It's not a wood block, but long story short, it's really, it really puts you in the moment. It puts you in this witch dance. The spookiness of this whole entire composition is just beautifully balanced, from these dark, ritualistic, like heavy drummings to this beautiful, drawn out. I imagine her like dancing, with a camera from above in a circle type of deal. It's really, really well done and super haunting. Beautifully haunting is what I have in my notes here. It's such a weirdly, beautifully haunting song that I enjoy it. And this is one of the ones that I say it might be a tiny bit of a challenge, but I think this would be so cool to see live. I've seen her shows before. I can picture her pulling this off, even with it being a little slow. So I'm down. As far as pacing goes here, I feel like I'm in for a show. And as like the vibe check is easily done as far as me looking at this as a Halloween album. But this album is flowing through this track 3.
Spoiler alert, I want to go to the tours for this album really badly.
Heard. I really like to see what they do.
Yeah, because
this would have been a hell of a Halloween show, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah. And the next song would have fit right in with it too, Sympathy Magic, co-written with Danny Harl. And she said Sympathy Magic is about a connection with someone. And I interpret this song as being about her connection with the audience. And because that it is connecting with the motif of this album, because her life-changing event happened in front of an audience, and that's really where the magic is, because she has even said, like, I work to get through it, kind of, like, I keep going, keep performing. And that's really what I interpret of this song, especially I'm more set in that interpretation based on the songs that come later in the album, too. Because I don't think she's singing about a man here. But it's another really cool song.
It's super cool. I'll be honest. I got a fucking, excuse me, I got a relationship vibe out of this, not knowing her past or not knowing what had happened to her, where it was not necessarily a good relationship, but where there was this sympathy magic where she was feeling sorry. I love it. I love it. This has the Florence stamp. Not that songs, the three prior, haven't, but this one reminds me like immediately of what she does. I love it. We get that driving track again here with this just beautiful vocal above it. I will say, musically, inside of its composition, it's the first time in the album where I say, we haven't gone off the beaten path too much musically. I won't say we're repeating it, but this is the first time in my listen, especially my first listen, that I was like, I'm getting a little tiny bit bored here. Listens after that, I really enjoy the song. I'm not trying to take away from the song, more so in the pacing of the album and the feel we're going through. It might even be because this one has a little bit of a less spooky vibe, and that might have added to it as well, but it's the first time in the album where I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on. There's not really a climax to this one for me, even though it builds like there should be.
The good news is we do get a sonic switch up at track number 5. Because I do agree, it was time for a sonic switch up, and they were smart and they did it for us. Track number 5 is called Perfume and Milk. It was the last song written for the album. She teased it on social media, not just Instagram, by posting a short video of her recording at Aaron Dessner's Long Pond Studios, which always makes me think of folklore, so that makes me happy. This song is really, according to her, about how healing isn't linear. And she said she wanted to include lots of flora and fauna on the album, and this song contains lots of that imagery. But it's the most stripped back song so far. And that's smart after all of the bombast of the opening set of songs. We did need to take it back a little bit. And yeah, it's a very reflective song with lots of imagery, and the stripped back nature of the song allows you to appreciate the poetry of a song like this, and the whole album's poetry, let me be clear. But when we take a lot of the bombast away, you're able to appreciate the words and the beauty that they bring. And this is the first true example of that. We'll have more coming up, but this is a really strong start to the next segment of the album, I would say.
I'm with you there. Segment's a great way to put it. This was the sonic switch up we needed, and what a great one it is. This one, I loved it. I love its stripped back nature. Not a hot tea take, but more so a selfish wanting. As much as I love this song, I really do. This song I can't get enough of. In my early listenings, I wanted some kind of run for your mother. I wanted some kind of just Florence full-on explosion break in this because it's so heavy. But like you said, throughout listens, you find this place where this beautiful stripped-back composition really lets these lyrics and her vocals breathe and have space inside of the song, and it's so powerful because of that. This is really cool start to the next part, but also just in its own right a really cool song at this track 5.
Yes, and I do want to note this is the first song co-written by Aaron Dessner. There are 2 more. He has a producer's credit on every song here, but he does not have a writing credit on all of them. And maybe there's an answer for it. I do wonder kind of how he came up with these. I'm wondering if it's similar to the folklore where I send you a thing and you write words to it. I'm thinking that's not the case based on how these songs turned out, and this wasn't done during the pandemic, but I'm curious, and there are a couple more, but those ones are especially of note to us because he's come up several times on this podcast now.
Yeah. He's inescapable at this point.
Yeah.
And we're running across different genres. I wasn't expecting to see his name on this stuff. It's neat to see.
Yeah, well, I'll get to my conclusion about Dessner when we wrap up our thoughts on this album. But he didn't co-write the next song. The next song was co-written with Mitski, and it's called Buckle. And Florence Welch said this song just had to be guitar-based. Like, she thought of adding more bells and whistles to it, but she said, nope, this song, it's just too strong on its own to have synths or any of that stuff. She said it more eloquently than I just did, of course, but but she was absolutely correct. I mean, this song has one of the best hooks on the album. Honestly, probably the best hook since the opening track so far. This song is, I mean, for what it's worth in 2025, I think this song is single-worthy because of that strong construction. And it is stripped back, but it's constructed well enough that it doesn't need bells and whistles. This is just, it's a relatable song too. It's about an attachment to the wrong person, and that's something anyone can relate to.
100%. I love what she did here. There's every once in a while she'll end up sounding not super, but more like Midwestern American in her delivery. Almost, I dare to say, like a country feel. But when she gets into buckle on your belt and brings it to us like that, it's so perfect. This hook it's not even earwig. It's just really good. It's not like corny. It's perfectly put inside of the song. I'm so glad she didn't go anywhere else, because not only is it great with just this acoustic guitar going with it and some background ambiance, but it's produced that way, so it seems so perfect. Or really, it is. It's a neat one. I'm with you in the notes, 100%. Why is this not a single? Like, it's radio length, radio worthy. I don't understand why this wasn't chosen out of the three. Even though the 3 are good, this one just, it has that Florence stamp, and it gives a little bit extra here. I enjoy it for the.
Yes, I forgot to mention that one of the greats and Sympathy Magic were pre-release singles as well. But I guess those fit into the motif a bit more. But now we're gonna keep it stripped back a bit with track 7, which is Kraken. This is named after an octopus-like sea monster from Scandinavian folklore, and this one was co-written with Aaron Dessner as well. And it really focuses on who she becomes when she performs. It's like, again, she's this different creature when she gets on stage, but she's accepting it now because she got a lot of performance criticism early on in her career. And this song is her owning it, and it's taken her some time to own it. But I think she used a really cool character to describe that here, both her and Dessner, and that's a strong suit of Aaron Dessner's as a producer, is that usage of a character in songs of his to really make a point about the performer. So this is another worthy one, I would say.
Yeah, super worthy, super worthy. And I really like the gapless out of Buckle and focusing early on in Kraken with the still staying on the acoustic guitar, but the power that it brings and ultimately lends to the climax in this song. It fits so well pacing wise that it almost, I won't even say almost, I've had to look back and be like, is this the same track? Because it really adds right after Buckle, it really adds on musically into a neat crescendo and climax here. I dig this one. I will say, as far as like the vibe of the Kraken here, I can see it, but I don't know, maybe I'm giving too much to the power of the Kraken, so to speak. Not that this song isn't powerful, it's just the imagery was lost a tad bit on me. But I love this song. I really love it. It has too much of a happy vibe for it to be Kraken. Kraken kills and like it just brings ships down or whatever it needs to. A Kraken is a wild beast to me. But this song, I'll give it, is a wild beast in its production. It really is well done. Imagery, not so much, but I dig this one. Pacing wise, man, we're flowing. I got bored for a second and now we're just going, and I enjoy that as well.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With the all-new Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from good to excellent. Introducing the new Sleep Score on Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
BTW, FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an adjustral implant, 68 milligrams radio pain. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
Yes. Well, we're on to another creature on the next song. This one is the vampire song of the album, The Old Religion. It features synths from Bryce Dessner, Aaron's twin brother and bandmate, so that's cool. And Florence said this song was inspired by The Craft and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was a movie and a show. She said they had big impacts on her when she was a kid. And she wanted the surge of energy after Kraken. And this is absolutely that. Like, she described it as being like running through a haunted forest or something, and that's absolutely what this song is. I will say this is my favorite of the co-writes with Dessner. It's the last one that he co-wrote, but this is their crowning achievement of the album. Just, it's a wild one. It's one I would love to see in a live setting or even a music video for it. Not that we get too many music videos anymore. Just, like, it just really, there's a lot you could do with this one. Not even vampire related, you could do a lot with this one.
Yeah, agreed. There's such a beautiful cinematic quality to this song, period. And I'm with you. I'd love to see it in some way. And it's cool to hear that the inspiration for this tune is coming from cinematic inspirations to Florence. I dig that. I could see this in a scene in Buffy, the show, or The Craft. That's pretty cool. And it definitely is. We get those driving drums that are indicative to her sound, but here there's a, in my opinion, there is an a newfound intensity here because the composition is running. So when you said running through the forest, I love that because you really get a sense of running throughout the way that this song flows. Again, pacing wise coming out, this is just, we got a little flash, but this is another run straight until a dead stop at the end of this song. But I love that. I love that, especially in this spooky vibe, this spooky sense that I was listening to, we get this boom stop at the end of this powerful trio and then step into the next piece. No spoiler alerts there, but yeah, well done as far as keeping the vibe going. And then where do we go next?
Where we go next is Drink Deep, which she said relates old folk tales to touring and performing, specifically fairies. And I can hear that in the song. I like this song more musically than I do lyrically. There's some cool sounds in it. As for the story being told, I'm gonna say this is my gun to the head least favorite on the album. Just there's better stories being told all throughout this album. And drinking is a theme that we see throughout Florence and the Machine's music, because she's a recovering alcoholic. She's been sober over 10 years now, but it's something that still comes back up, and this is the song on this album where it came back up, but just not quite as compelling as the rest of it. Not even bad, just falls flat a bit in comparison to what came before and what's going to come after.
Falls flat is an understatement for me. I mean, we just hit this midnight pitch black clearing and running through this forest. We get a little bit of wind chimes and then we get put to sleep. I mean, my notes on this one are deep track for a super fan. And I am a fan, and I'm not trashing on the song like musically, just as far as where it is in this album. This one isn't for me. I'm with you. Gun to the head. Is it a terrible song? I don't feel like it's a fully realized song. I feel like it's just a little bit of a thought, and I'm okay with that, but the way this album's been rolling, it falls far past flat for me. This is a skip in my later listens, and I guess that's all I have to say. I'm not trying to badmouth you, Florence. I'm sorry. This one didn't hit for me though.
It didn't quite hit for me either. Sorry, girl. But we're gonna switch gears, fortunately, with track 10, which is Music by Men. She said this song is about what she feels are the conflicting wants of wanting love and wanting a career as a musician, specifically. And, I mean, this is the most vulnerable song on the album. Like, she puts it out plain and clear that she's a hopeless romantic. Like, I fall in love with anyone I meet for 10 minutes at least. But as it goes on, there's just this conflicting want of, I want my career, I like my performing. And, I'm not really willing to compromise that. And another, I do like, so there was she mentioned a song by the 1975. The song specifically she revealed is their song, Love It If We Made It. Because she said that was a really good song and she wanted to reference it. So, yeah, I think we're back in play with this one. I really enjoyed this one. I feel this was a real look into her heart and soul, and I appreciate it a lot. And she knocked it out with this one, I think.
Yeah, this is how you do. That's a very heavy way to come in, but this is how you do that softer song here. You really get an introspective piece. We talked about it not being a full thought on the last one. This one comes straight out of Old Religion, and I don't have any boredom. This is not a skip. This is how you do it. I'm down to hear the plight when it makes sense and it makes me feel. And I really because of that. Not only does it convey that, but inside of the way it's set up musically, it doesn't let you not feel it, is what I'm trying to say here. It really does its job. And it woke me back up into the album. It's not a driving Florence track, but it's so introspective and beautiful that it put me back on track after Drink Deep.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I want to again hear what else we have to say. And we're now at the penultimate track of the album, which is You Can Have It All. True return to the opening tracks on this album in terms of sonic features and screaming. And this one does have a sarcastic title. Florence herself said it was kind of a fuck you to the concept of having it all. This is a sarcastic and angry song. Because after her experience, she really feels she learned the hard way that you can't have it all. Because she's thinking, I did want to have a child. And I had a miscarriage on stage while doing my job. So on this one, you just hear all of that pain and anger. She really soars on this one. It's her best vocal on the album and a brilliant penultimate track.
Brilliant is almost an understatement here. I mean, now knowing what she went through and going back through this, it adds an extra layer. But even so, in my notes prior, this is Florence, man. Like, this is that track. We get all of her, and we get this raw vocal that I will say that I haven't got this raw Florence vocal, this trembling vocal, really outright so far in this album, and I loved it. When I got here for the first time, it was almost like coming home for what I was looking to hear from her. And I'm not sure if it's a hurdy-gurdy or what. I was looking, but what they have going on, it's probably a synthesizer, but what they have growing behind this song until she finally goes into that beautiful refrain, it's magic. It is magic. This is Florence for me, and penultimate, I think it sticks the landing for a perfect 10. It is really well done.
Yeah, this one is definitely the most reminiscent of the vocals that we heard on Lungs.
Yeah, most definitely. 100%.
Go listen to our episode on that album if you want to.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that one we did last year. But now we're at the end of the album with the final track, which is called End Love. And this is an intentionally quiet closing track. She described it as a moment to breathe out at the end of an album filled with desire and fury and ache. And that's another really smart move to end on a hopeful note. This song's almost lullaby-like, which that could be read as possibly mourning her lost child. But overall, the message here is hope. Like, it'll be alright, and I went through this, but I'm gonna keep going. And I think that's an important message to end this on, because we really ran the gamut of emotions throughout this story being told. And this one's short and sweet. It's the quickest song on the album, and it's just a great closer. This album's so well structured.
Yeah, it's an amazing closer. Even in a spooky sense throughout this album, it felt right because it was so much. It was like outrunning the monster almost, and you get to this track and peace is coming, and it's such a beautiful track. It's not short enough for me to feel like it's an outro. I feel like it's a full-on thought, fully realized song. We get this beautiful harp, and it's really like a nice pillow to rest on at the end of this. You know, in the spooky sense, this like horror draining album as far as like having your heart racing, but you know, in that sense of her being at peace, it really adds that extra layer here. This is that final pillow to rest and breathe, and I think it not only was supposed to do that, by her words, but it again sticks the landing. It's a great closer for this album.
There we have it, at least for now. Who knows if they'll put out more tracks for this in the future, because it seems to happen a lot with albums now. But there we have Everybody Scream, the latest from Florence and the Machine. Good to have you back, Florence.
Yeah, man.
I know, Cory, you're a long-time Florence fan. Curious, how are you standing with your grading for this album?
I'm not going to let my newfound knowledge for where this album came from conflict with the way I had gone at it. Florence and the Machine, Everybody Scream. It's really a well done album. It is produced very intricately. It's produced and paced very well. It left me with a little bit of want from her, as far as maybe I'll say as far as like the heavier mainstream songs, but that didn't kill me on this album, especially the way I had listened to it for so many times as a Halloween album. It really stuck the landing there, and there were some very powerful emotions with, in my opinion, really only one glaring misstep. I think it was I don't even think it was a great listen, and it was great to have her back. I'm giving this one a B+. It didn't blow me out of the water, and there's room for that to grow too, because of getting to go back and having a much more personal level from her with the newfound knowledge to go through. But for me, this ends up in a B+, and it's where I was going for earlier when I was like, wow, it was getting 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. And I was like, I don't think this is their best album, period. So it was wild to see that. But now that I know how much more intimate and sharing this album was, I can see where some of these, or I can think I can see where some of these reviews are coming.
This is an A for me. This was a really unexpected treat almost. I mean, I was expecting it to be good, but I wasn't expecting to like it quite as much as I ended up, because there were a few strong new releases in the month of October. I wasn't predicting that my favorite would be from Florence and the Machine, but it ended up being, this is a really strong album. And it's one that I am happy to keep going back and listening to. Like, sometimes with albums on here, it's kind of like, okay, even if I like it, sometimes like, I gotta listen to this again. I want to listen to something else. But this one, I wanted to keep going to, and I wanted to look back a bit with Florence and the Machine and hear some of what I hadn't heard before, revisit some of what I did, because I just was so captured by this album and the story being told here. And my conclusion now is Aaron Dessner is one of the greatest producers of the 21st century. This is an example of his versatility, for sure.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to hear what work he does in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some negative things to say about some of his work, but like, he's inescapable. I said that earlier, but he really is. We've said this before, where like maybe the next generation will talk about him like Spectre or something, not with the negative connotations, but he's a world-class producer, and there's no getting around that.
Yeah, but if he keeps making music this good, that status is deserved.
Agreed, 100%. 100%.
So that's where I'm at with this. What's your favorite song on the album?
It's a tough one, man. I'm going with my gut. Buckle is my jam on this one.
I'm going with the title track, Everybody Scream.
Heard that.
Just, what a song. But a lot of winners on this album. Lots
Agreed.
of winners.
Agreed.
And now, we've done this new release, but now it's time for us at Turntables and Tea to take a look back, because what's our now annual tradition of what we do, we look into who the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame decided to induct each year, and because November is the month of the ceremony, we like to each pick an album from an artist that speaks to us that we want to talk about, and we also like to do a poll for our listeners to decide what they want to hear. And we'll be doing that once again. And we've got a diverse class this year for the Rock Hall, so I'm looking forward to it. But to kick it off is I'm going to be picking from Warren Zevon. So we're going back to the 1970s and California. And I'm interested to do this because it's not just about Warren Zevon. It's a story that involves a lot of well-known characters, some of whom have appeared on this show before. So we'll be discussing his classic 1978 album, Excitable Boy, featuring the immortal hit Werewolves of London, a Halloween classic.
Yeah, man.
So I'm really looking forward to that one. So please be sure to follow us wherever you're listening and leave us a nice rating and review. Follow us on social media so you can get updates on that one and the rest of our Rock Hall picks, because we've got some good episodes coming back. I'm really looking forward to this next one and the rest of this mini-series we're doing.
Yeah, man. Great time of the year. Just kicking it off with Zevon. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So try not to be too excitable while you wait for the next episode.
Peace.